Now turn up.
What up is Marcus' Dynasty Football Dads? Happy Saturday. We have a video here for you because I believe analytics are important in predicting the future. And this video is very, very important, and it's basically an expansion of what I've talked about before, draft capital being very important. And Mike Clay, who is, of course, a well-known analyst of the kind of dynasty or even fantasy football community, came out and he did all the research behind round 4 running backs. And so there's two aspects to this. One, Michael Carter is a round 4 running back who we're going to be talking a lot about. And number 2, there's this kind of like, if you have a early first round pick and a late first, early second round pick, do you go Jamar Chase and Michael Carter, or do you go like Javonte Williams and go Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman? In my opinion, unless you are desperately needing a wide receiver, I in particular going Javonte Williams, and I am going either Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, along those lines. The only other player that I'm willing to consider, especially in 1 QB leagues, a lot of the time we're talking 1 QB leagues, but if you're in a super flex, and just move this picks down a little bit because you might be debating between this. The only other player that I'm debating that is Kyle Pitts because of basically position scarcity. Now, let's get into why. Of course, many people are like, I'll just take Michael Carter. This is a common thread that I have seen. And people even talk about, I'm going to just take Trey Sermon. And he's a 3rd round pick, so these analytics don't go against Trey Sermon, but they go against Michael Carter. And let's walk through that. So he did running backs since 2001. So 2001, he did their rookie year, and he did their career best finish. There has been two running backs that have had a top 24 finish in PPR. 24th in 2011, and I barely even remember this person, Roy Helou, and guess what? That was his best finishes in his entire career. Okay, well, let's see what the unicorn is, because out of all these players, let's see who is the top. He was 14th overall. He finished 14th overall, which is what some people are already projecting Michael Carter to be at, which is crazy and ludicrous at this point in his rookie year. Dominic Williams was the player, 2003, and his peak finish was 4. Only 7 have gone on to reach top 10 status in their entire career. We have Dominic Williams, we have Marion Barber, and that was 2005. We have Devontae Freeman, 2014, and people are like, Devontae Freeman, he's been awesome. Well, he was 49th in his rookie year. So let's put it in perspective. Lamar Miller, who was 80th his rookie year, he's 2012. He was 5th overall, or he got a 5th overall finish. James White, 2014. And that's, I mean, you kind of get the 7th overall. Darren Sproles, 5th overall, 143rd in his rookie year. And Rudy Johnson, 8th overall finish is his best. And he was a 2001 rookie. But yeah, there's been some rookies in there like Michael Bush, Mike Davis, Bilal Powell, trying to see Tariq Cohen, Nyheim Hines. I think one of the things we have to do is temper expectations for Michael Carter's rookie year. I can see Michael Carter being, there's so much demand on, oh my goodness, his landing spot. There's no other running backs there. Well, just analytics itself says that there's a very, very good chance. I don't even know how many running backs there are here. There's a lot of running backs since 2001 that have been drafted in the 4th round. I don't know, there's probably 50 I can see here. And one being a top 24 or top 23 running back. You can say 2 being top 24. You're talking about a guy that is probably going to end up being, let's just say his upside is Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines, drafted in 2018. His high is 15. His rookie year was 27. That is probably what you're looking at. Tariq Cohen, rookie year of 29, peak of 11. You're looking at these running backs that are not going to be alpha running backs. You're not looking at these running backs being a 3-down running back, and I think Michael Carter can pass catch, and I think he could be along the lines, but a lot of these running backs that you're seeing are very, very elite pass catching running backs, which I'm not sure Michael Carter's up to that point, but you're talking about I'm thinking that this relies more of Kenneth Gainwell. I think Kenneth Gainwell has the chance to be more of the Nyheim Hines or the Tariq Cohen type. That being said, I think Michael Carter, you could see being a 20 29th, 30th, 35th running back. And I think that's what you're going to get out of him. I think you might have a peak season, a 1 to 2 year window where he is actually fantasy relevant and is in the top 25-ish. So he's going to be a top 24 you can say. So 1 to 2 year window. So would I rather have that in Jamar Chase, which is kind of the ultimate conundrum here, or would I rather have Javonte Williams, who I think is going to be a top 10 running back in his career for multiple years, or at least I think he's going to be kind of the next, the Nick Chubb type, where you may get low-end RB1 kind of stats for the next 4 or 5 years, which is, I think, super valuable. And you would be able to get Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, along those lines, who I think still have upside of being a high-end wide receiver too. I don't think they have Jamar Chase upside. Jamar Chase has number 1 overall wide receiver in fantasy type of upside. But if you look at the difference, you're looking at the difference between positions. Value-based drafting. Value-based drafting is so important. And I think we forget about that so often. I always say, look at the value, what you're getting. I talk about how running backs, their rookie seasons, they're more likely to be a higher production at rookie season. If you're more of an elite running back, again, you're going to have higher value right off the bat. Then you can trade that away. There's not always a chance to trade away wide receivers because the demand is such a less of. Everyone has wide receivers. Even if you have bad wide receivers, you have wide receivers 24 and 30 probably, and you have like a Tyler Boyd and like a. Trying to think of another guy. You have Tyler Boyd, and you have maybe even like you have like Robbie Anderson. That would be like your worst case scenario. And still, you'd be like, do I want to give up like everything in the world for Jamar Chase? And you're probably not a contending team with that. Wide receivers are so deep, and that's why I am taking running back over wide receiver. And the only other debate I have is Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is that unicorn that we don't get to see very often. Again, 20 years old, maybe even at 22, he's like close to a top 2-3 tight end. He might even be sooner. He might even be that before his 21st or 22nd birthdays. But that is why I saw polls going on where it was like Jamar Chase at 102 and 201. Like, what is your decision? And almost everyone said Jamar Chase and like a Michael Carter versus the other case, Javonte Williams and like Elijah Moore. And I was like, what? Like the value difference between Jamar Chase, like wide receiver, let's say everyone hits their peak. Wide receiver 1 overall and wide receiver, let's say Elijah Moore, 13th overall. And then you have running back, if everything goes right for Javonte Williams, he's running back maybe like 3. And you have Michael Carter, if everything goes right, he's probably running back 15. So 3 to 15 in running backs is a lot different than 1 to 13 in wide receivers. That's if everything goes right. Everything goes right. That is probably close to peaks. And you could say, well, Javonte Williams is number 1 overall could be his peak, and maybe 12 for Michael Carter. But like I'm seeing like that'd be really I think rare. I'm just saying 3 and 15 is probably closer to their peaks, you could say. And so what would you rather have? Like I would rather have the wide receiver 13 and the running back 3 versus the wide receiver 1 and the running back 15. And I think Michael Carter's duration of being running back 13 is going to be a lot slimmer. I think that's maybe a year that he could only do that. And I think Javonte Williams, it could be 4 or 5 years. Yes, Jamar Chase could be wide receiver 1 for multiple more years as well. So you have that kind of counter argument. Ultimately, I just try to look at analytics and try to look and say, you know what, I want to draft for value. I want to draft for value now, trade down the road. Draft for value now, trade down the road. I can trade for wide receivers. There's always a wide receiver too. I can always get my Robbie Woods. I can always get these wide receivers like Allen Robinson. I know it's going to cost a little bit more, but there's not as much demand for them. So it's easier to acquire those assets, or even like a Mike Evans, or there's plenty of wide receivers into that like 15 to 25 range that I'm easily taking, and I'm trying to figure out how do I get these wide running backs that are going to be elite, and you can only get them by usually drafting them. So again, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. Please subscribe if you haven't to. We're getting closer to 1,000. Have a happy 4th, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.
Now turn up.